Hey there, this is Maria from English Without Fear. Today I'm talking to you language teachers, language coaches and tutors who teach either English as a second language or other second languages for your learners. I want to share the biggest mistake I made and how I was able to change. I hope that by relating my experiences, I can give you some hope that might translate into a better, happier teaching experience for you.
English Without Fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
As I've mentioned before, I have taught French, English as a second language, and even some German for 27 years. And now, more than 27. This is my 28th year of teaching. I started out as a textbook teacher for the first 10 years. But in that 10th year, in October, Columbus Day weekend, I attended a seminar where the topic was how to teach with comprehensible input. And the method they used was TPRS, Teaching Proficiency Through Reading and Storytelling. It really resonated with me, and I dove in headfirst with everything, all my energy, all my passion. For about 14 years after that, I went to trainings in the summer, during the school year. I read everything I could get my hands on. I followed people, their blogs, in Facebook groups when they became popular. I gobbled up everything. And that's good. You might say, what's wrong with that? Don't teachers need training? Yes, that's good. But I think for me, it became an obsession. I kept looking for the right curriculum, the right technique, the right activities that would make a difference, that would give me the joy, the peace, the contentment, the sense of I'm doing a good job. That's what I wanted. I wanted to know I'm doing a good job. But as anybody knows, teaching another language is hard. It's not all dependent on us, the teachers. So it became a bit toxic for me because I would evaluate myself, not just my teaching. I became my teaching. How I thought the students reacted to me, how my classes went, became my identity. And because I was following different people, I tried out different techniques. I would compare myself to the people who taught seminars at these annual trainings, or I would compare myself to the people who wrote about their activities. It was hard. I'm going to admit that. Now, maybe that doesn't apply to you. Maybe you're not that way, but I was. It became almost a love-hate relationship because I couldn't be like everybody else. Now, there were times when my classes went well, when it felt like my kids were eating out of the palm of my hand, as I had seen in videos with some of the gurus in the comprehensible input industry. But that happened rarely. When it did, it felt really, really good, and I was pumped and like, I love this, and I can do this, and CI is best. But when it didn't go well, which was, well, how I viewed it, when they weren't eating out of my hand, that was my standard, I blamed myself. I drew comparisons between myself and other people. I'm not a good teacher. I'm not like so-and-so. Oh, I even developed a love-hate relationship with this. It got so bad, I had one of those dark nights of the soul where I was about ready to go. I was getting ready to go to another conference, but this time my school was paying for it. It was about 5 years ago, and I was so depressed the night before I left. I thought, if I don't get something that will help me out of this conference, I'm going to go back to textbook teaching because there's no drama. No, it doesn't serve my students well, but there's no drama in it, and this drama is driving me nuts. By God's grace, what I heard at this conference, it was actually at ACTFul, and Bill Van Patten was giving a seminar with Stephen Krashen, and I don't know, something clicked. Not his method, but just something clicked. And what I came away from was not a technique, but just the idea, I have to be me. I have to stop comparing myself to all the gurus, the people I think are gurus. I have to unfollow blog posts. One, not only has it become an obsession, but this takes a lot of my time. And it's not healthy for me to compare myself with other people. So I did that. I kept one blog post that I followed. I unsubscribed from practically everything else. I did listen to Bill Van Patten's podcast because that didn't harm me. And I stopped having my identity be connected with how well my classes went. I'm a Christian. I should know better that my identity is not tied with what I do. We are created to be human beings, not human doings, and we're made in the image of God. So I knew that, but I wasn't living that out. But by God's grace, I started to relax. When a class didn't go well, I was able to look at it realistically. What part is my fault? And what part was, these are middle schoolers. They're bored. They're tired. It was a busy weekend. They're just not feeling good. They're moody. It's hormones. I was able to be realistic, and if it wasn't something I had done, then I said to myself, well, at least I provided comprehensible input, CI, and there might have been one or two who actually were paying attention. So that's good. But there were times when I bombed a class because I hadn't planned well, didn't handle something well, and as painful as those times were, I learned something, implemented, and invariably, every single next class went better because I had learned something. I wanted to share this with you today because I know this is hard. And everybody now that people talk about CI, comprehensible input, all the time, there are lots of materials out there. There are lots of gurus, lots of practitioners. Doing well doesn't reside in, I'm copying somebody, I'm doing the right things. I think that's important, but it should not take first place. What is most important is just to accept, if you're a Christian, that God has placed you right where you are. And if you're not, then you can just say life has placed me right where I am, has given me these interests, this job, this responsibility, my experiences, my talents. I'm here because I can help these students. All I have to do is move them a little bit further along in their language acquisition journey. I think if you can tamp down the expectation, not evaluate your identity by what you do. And the other thing I learned that really helped, and I have to admit, my last 3 years in the classroom were wonderful. I stopped having such dramatic ups and downs. I actually enjoyed teaching with CI, enjoyed my classes. I was so much more relaxed. I grew confident enough to say, you know, kids, I'm a professional. I'm a language acquisition expert. I have spent 26 plus years in this profession, and I choose activities based on research and based on my experience that are best suited for you for language acquisition. And when I would say that, they settled down. And it helped me to hear me say that. So I wanted to share my experience with you. Maybe you can identify in part of my story, but just relax. Your success is not dependent on the right this or that or following the right person. Be who you are. What experience and ideas and convictions and talents you have today, use them and trust that life or God will guide you. So tell me what you think. Share your past. Maybe you've had a similar experience, or maybe you have a suggestion for all of us. Well, this is Maria from English Without Fear. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching. For questions or comments, here's my email